Salute is a program for and about men and women who have served our country. Our program includes news about the laws that affect veterans, information on benefits and services, and news from veterans organizations. And now, our host, Bob Peters.
Hello and welcome to Salute. I'm your host, Bob Peters, and with me today is Olive Braiston. I got a call from a friend of mine about this article that was in the newspaper about this young lady who worked during World War II as a welder. And I want to welcome Olive the welder to our show. And thank you for everything you did during the war effort. And there was quite a bit done by women during the war effort. And perhaps you can give us a little background about yourself, where you were born, where you went to school, and how did you wind up being Olive the welder?
Well, I was born in Pennsylvania. I was raised in New York State. After the war, 35 years in New Jersey. And then we retired. My deceased husband and I moved here to Florida. We traveled all over Florida to find a place to live, and so we ended up here in the Villages. So it was about 34 years or something, longer than that we've been here. Not in the Villages, because it's not that old. And other than that, why, what more can I say? What else you want to know?
Yeah. I got permission, I just want to make this perfectly clear, to mention the fact that you are 92 years old.
Yeah.
Are young, actually.
1918.
1918, because you don't look it.
Thank you.
You know, and
that's the beer.
It's the beer. Yeah, okay. You heard it first from Olive, right? How did you wind up becoming a welder, and what exactly did you do as a welder?
Well, when I moved my hometown, there wasn't any work. Mostly everybody moved out of small towns to go to Buffalo or Rochester or someplace big. So I had a girlfriend that wanted to go to further south, and I thought she meant maybe Florida. Instead of that, we went to Brooklyn, New York, and ended up that I was a waitress. Yeah, it was south. I was a waitress, and I was working next to Todd's shipyard, where they were putting ships in there to do them over for the troops to go overseas. And the fellow said to me, some of them, well, why don't you come and work on the ships with us, because you'd make more money. Well, not knowing what kind of a job I was getting to and the hours that I had and everything, so I went. That's where I was until, I don't know if it was 42, but I know the day that they said the war was over, put everything down, said goodbye, and I walked away.
Mm-hmm. And you have a little picture there.
And this is the only picture that I have.
Hold it up so people can see it.
The whole thing that, yeah.
Now you say, why don't you tell us a little bit about the job you did? And you were talking about the hours.
Yeah.
So were you working 8 hours a day or what?
Oh no, 12, 14. Yeah. Well, took me an hour to get my bus to get to work. And the ship was on dry dock. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but... Well,
why don't you explain it to people?
Yeah. Well, the ship comes in. It was a Italian beautiful cruise ship, and we were making it over to make it so it was a troop ship to take our boys overseas. And ended up that I started working on it. And Todd's shipyard is gone now, they tell me. So I have no memories other than this, because I'd moved so many times. And what little I did have, why, that's just a story. But working in the shipyard, I also did, in summertime, as I said, the big plates I had to weld together for the, I forget what you call them. The
landing crafts?
Landing crafts, yeah, landing crafts. That was in the summertime, so between the cold on the ship and the cold heat in the summertime, it was all right. Just worked.
Yeah, you told me the part you really liked was welding the railings so you could look down.
Oh yes, I forgot. I was talking about how the ship got in. I guess people have seen where people have made miniature ships and they had to build something to set the ship on. Well, that's what they did in the dry docks. The ship came in with water, then they opened the docks and let the water out And in the meantime, the ship was on this pedestal. Of course, it wasn't a pedestal, whatever they called it. And that's when we had planks to walk over onto the ship. And the cables, I don't know if anyone knows about welding, but it's not a factory job, I'll tell you that. They had cables 3 times big as your thumb that we had to haul around, and you had to have this shield because if you saw any of the light from the welding, it would blind your eyes. In fact, the lens that was in it, the shield, was so strong that you could see the eclipse of the sun. That's what they were made of. So I had one of them, and traveling and stuff, I lost it, broke up or whatever. But in the dry dock, they had me hang on to the railing. They were welding a railing for the ship, and I had to twine my legs in between the railings and weld. And between the dry dock and where the ship was, and it was quite a few feet if I ever fell. But I made it.
Obviously, you're here, right?
92, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got a magazine here. It's a Life magazine. It's called Our Finest Hour, and it's very interesting. It's all about World War II, and I was gazing through it because you know, one of the shows we wanted to do here at Lakefront TV was about the women in the war effort during World War II. I mean, it's amazing what these people did for our country. And there's a picture on the front here. This is with Rosie the Riveter. She's, you know, a picture there.
Olive the Welder.
Poet, yes. We have the pleasure of having Olive the Welder, and there's some people welding here. So
that's it.
You think that's you?
Yep. No, I don't think so.
And I have another picture here. This is 1941. This is interesting. You know, in 1941, 1% of aviation employees were women, and the following year it went up to 65%. Over 16 million women were employed in the U.S. Doing, you know, ships and planes.
Airplanes, everything. Yeah.
And of course, a lot of people know about the women aviators.
Yeah, oh
you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And but I have another little picture here that I wanted to show people. This is the 5,000th B-17.
Beautiful.
That was built, and there was this picture was taken. I believe this was in Life magazine. And if you look at it, you can see there's an awful lot of women.
Women, yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah.
So.
We had to. All of our men were gone. What could we do?
Guy would have to be very popular if he was left behind, huh?
Well, that was another story. The 4Fers that were there. When I was outside welding and the plates, a couple of them were there, supposed to be welding or whatever they were doing, and they were making remarks that wasn't very nice. And I was crying because I thought, here we are working, and here they are. In fact, they had a tweezer, and they were pulling their whiskers so they wouldn't have to shave. And I didn't dare to go tell anybody because I was there alone, and here the 2 men were, and I figured, what's the use saying anything? It's you know, 2 effers.
Yeah, that's different. Well, also, you know, there were a lot of people, the men who didn't serve were in the CCCs.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and my father was one of them. He had one leg shorter than the other.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So he was out, you know, cutting trees and building. You know,
had to be someone here.
Yeah, he traveled all over the country doing that. But it was a tremendous. What was your reaction with Pearl Harbor? How did you learn about it? You remember that? Because like people always say, like, I remember September 11th. I wasn't around for Pearl Harbor, but I'm sure you must remember that.
Well, I wasn't a person for radio and like that. So the newspapers, what little I saw and everything, and what people talked about, just about what I heard too. So there was really nothing. I mean, it was very bad. I mean, terrible, terrible for our men to have to go through that, people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now they're still doing the same thing, so I don't know.
Well, yeah. Well, the women nowadays too are a lot more active in the combat field, you know. And back then, you answered the call, and I went to London, and a lot of the women over there, they had to rebuild the bridges and everything because of the bombing.
Yeah, they got bombed,
you know.
Terrible.
And
we're very, very fortunate in the United States. I mean, what happened to the towers and things is just one teeny weeny thing of what is going to happen if we don't watch.
Yeah, if there was ever a world war. Yeah, because
anybody come here and bomb again.
Hopefully it'll never be repeated, another world war, you know, because it was devastating. But your late husband, he served, did you say?
Oh, yes. Yeah. He was over in Germany. Yeah.
And you had a friend that was going to come on today, but she couldn't come on.
Yeah, but she was the riveter. She was in the factory.
So she may be watching this. You want to say hello?
She's in the hospital, yeah.
Tell her hello.
Yeah.
We don't normally let people do this, but say hello to her.
That's all right, yeah. Her name is Lee. Her picture was in the paper about a month later after me. And the other thing, too, was that they just showed in a paper a few weeks ago or something, the real Rosie the Riveter. They had the bandana on and everything, and it showed the woman, she just died.
Yeah, I thought she
just
passed.
Died. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she was there for the World War II groundbreaking ceremony. I attended that in Washington when they did that. That was long overdue.
Oh, yeah, a lot of it. But, well, people can only do so much.
Yeah.
You know, there's other things beside the past. The future is, to me, more important than the past, but the young people have to know about it. That reminds me of my gentleman friend he's an honor guard, and in the villages, he goes to the schools, and he adopts a child from the school, and the kids in the school adopt a soldier or veteran, and they write essays. And when we're once in a while at the memorial park, that the owner Schwartz owned, he gave them the lot to put this memorial and everything on it. And the kids come there and they bring their lunch. The school buses bring them, and it's wonderful. And they write the essays, read them. The children get up there and read them, and it's wonderful. They ask the children what POW meant, and they said prisoners of war. No, it isn't. It's people out of work.
Yeah, somebody's starting trouble. Yeah, I've been to a couple of their ceremonies. The first one I went to actually was when I first came down here about 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anybody, so I went down there because I've been active in the veterans community all my life, just about, well, since I got out of the service anyway.
Yeah.
And at that particular time, 6 years ago, there was a gentleman there who was part of the Bataan Death March.
Oh, for God's
And the fellow that was there with the actual piece of paper, it was the message he sent to the president, you know, the telegraph message that he sent to the president that the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor.
Oh, my God.
So it was interesting to go there and meet these people. I mean, that's what I love about doing this show. I get to meet lovely people just as like yourself that
thank you,
were a big part of the war effort.
Yeah.
You know?
Russell, my gentleman friend, he had to walk in the snow. He carried a bazooka, and I mean, he really went through. He knew all it.
Yeah. When you left there the day when you heard the war ended?
That's right.
You said, that's it, I'm out of here? 7 days a week, I'm tired?
Yep.
Yeah. You never make any friends that you've kept over the years, or ever get in touch with anybody?
I left there, and my brother came home from the service. Well, it's a long story.
I got time.
In school, my girlfriend's brother, he was 6 months younger than me. She and I were the same age. And we would go dancing and like that. And at that time, being 14, 15 years old, I wanted an older man. What girl didn't? So he was just a brother. Then after the war, my brother come home, and I was at that time in Brooklyn, and we moved to New Jersey because he got a job there, and I went with him. So we went home to visit, and who should be there but Royce, the one that I used to go with his sister. And we got to talking. It ended up that his mother had moved down to Pennsylvania, not far from Trenton, where I lived. So he was looking for work because there was nothing in our hometown. And same way with my brother. So we got to know each other and everything. And my brother got married and went to Ohio to live, so I was alone again. So I moved down with his mother and father, and I got a job, and then we got married. So in 1949, I've been married, was until 2005 when he passed away. So that was a long story. He never told about anything of the service. My brother never did.
Yeah,
They
that's
didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I've discussed this before with quite a few people. There's just some men and women who've seen so much that they don't want to talk about it. I didn't know much about my uncles until their latter years.
That's it.
You know, then they talked. You know, but even then they talk more. He would talk to me more so than any of the other nephews and nieces because I was in the service. The rest of them weren't. So. You know, there's that bond with, with service people.
That's the same with Russell now. He wants his grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and all that to, know the story and everything. So
Russell, we're waiting for you. We'll get him on this show. You know, hook him up with a friend of mine. I think maybe bring the two of them on. I say he was in the Battle of the Bulge.
Yeah, it would be nice,
That ship, did it ever leave dry dock? Did you work on it all that time, and did you see it got to leave?
I know the name, nothing. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I never took pictures, and I wished, how I wished I had. But
well, you're too
thank
busy.
goodness I had this. And if I didn't, I wouldn't have had this. But my mother, someone, I don't know how she got this. Maybe I saw it in the paper and sent it to her. I think that's probably what I did because it didn't mean much to me at that time. And she kept it, and then she sent it to me. Otherwise, I wouldn't even have this. But like I said, that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
But
well,
we
thank
survived
goodness.
it.
Thank goodness there was people like Rosie the Riveter and Olive the Welder and those ladies that transported the planes and the nurses and everything that in the war.
Well, I imagine that ship was finished and probably brought the troops back home.
That's a good feeling, isn't it, huh?
Yeah.
You know, you worked on that ship, and it brought our troops
when they
home.
brought the ship in, they were all Italian, didn't speak English, and some of the people on the ship we were working on knew it, and they brought in gallons of the real homemade wine, and they were selling a gallon for 50 cents. Somebody wised them up, and finally they started selling it, and then naturally it was
somebody
gone.
spilled the beans and the price went up, huh?
I tried it, but like I tell everybody, it tastes like vinegar wine to me, so I just stick with my beer.
Yeah.
And I put ice in my beer, keep it cold.
Well, we've heard it here first on Lakefront TV. The secret to longevity with Olive the Welder is beer with ice in it.
Yep.
But you know, anything about World War II that I mean, it had to be quite a time to go through, you know, live through that period of time, you know.
Well, I had hardly.
I mean, the food, there's not much away of food. You got the food. Did you have food stamps and? Or
No, I didn't need them. In fact, I'm very sorry. I never kept a paycheck either. I can't even remember. My memory is the bad things I don't remember, the hard things, things I want to forget. So those were tough times. It was rough doing the job and everything, and so I just worked. And I had an apartment off of DeKalb Avenue in a little park that was there, and they had to bring ice.
Yeah, for the ice box.
And the ice box.
And not a refrigerator, an ice box.
Yeah. And sometimes I couldn't get home in time, and it melted, and the water was on the floor, and but I hardly had time to go to the store or anything. I lived, wherever I lived, I tried to live close to where I could walk to stores because I never had a car, you know. But it ended up good.
Now we got.
I'm in the villages.
Yeah, you're living a good life in the villages with
I am.
with a car and 3D TV.
You don't know what kind of a car I got. I told you, PT Cruiser.
Oh yeah.
Convertible red one.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah.
That's out in the villages.
Yeah. But every place I go, everybody knows where Olive is because of my red convertible.
You get down to the Legion post down there quite a bit.
Yeah. Every Friday night we try to go. In fact, tonight I'm supposed to get home and go to it, yeah. Ann doesn't go because she goes out with the girls.
Oh. Ann is out in our studio audience, which keeping a low profile.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
there.
Ann, my girlfriend.
They can't see her back at home.
That's right.
But yeah. Anyway, well, I thank you for coming.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
If there's anything that you'd like to say in closing about, you know.
Well, I think it's just wonderful that the people are bringing these war things up and everything for the younger generation, because if they didn't, who's to tell them? Like the kids think POW is. People out of work. I mean,
yeah,
that was many a year ago.
Like I said, I've done educational programs in the past up north. I'm from Connecticut originally. And first time I went to a school, I says, what is MIAPOW? He says, Mia Pow.
Yeah.
They thought maybe it was an Indian word or something.
Right,
They didn't know what it was. But yeah, we have to educate.
That's it.
And leave the history to people.
That's what they're doing now.
And I thank you for coming on the show and telling people about.
I'm sorry I didn't have more.
Did they ever check your welds to make sure they were good?
My what?
Your welds. Did they ever? I'm not your weld. I mean,
my welding.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
You
They had inspectors.
You must have had to take a course and everything, a lot of hours, or no?
Not very long.
No.
No.
Let's get to work. We haven't got time, right?
That's right.
Well, I thank you for coming.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you.
So we're going to say goodbye now.
Mr. Roberts.
Mr. Robert. To all our veterans out there and our active military and their families, we salute you. Till next time.
Let us know what you want us to present in our future programs. Please call Lakefront TV at 352-728-9707 with your programming ideas and suggestions.